he breaks in to where she had did the assignment. They fight. She beats his ass and he can't forget her. What up, Search fam? Sharde here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sharde. I'm out here curating and co-creating a cool ass life, and that includes books, and this is our September wrap up. Now, y'all know how it goes. If you've watched my other book related videos, I have physical books, audio books, and digital books. The audio and digitals, we have our iPad here to keep us on track. Per usual, I'm not going to give you all like a 5-star rating or anything. I'm just going to tell you whether you should definitely pick it up, whether you should pick it up, or if you shouldn't pick it up. Okay, so always in reverse order, and I'll start with the physical book. So first book up is Unrealistic Expectations by Andie J. Christopher. This is a sort of satirical book about, you know, fake dating. We're trying to improve our social, public-facing, you know, personas or whatever. And so Jessica is a therapist who's written a sort of self-help book for men. But she is dumped by her longtime boyfriend right before her book drops. She runs into an old classmate, Galvin, who is drowning his sorrows at the bar because his ex-girlfriend is an influencer and has drugged him on the internets and told everybody that he don't be performing like he supposed to. So this is the plight of them deciding to fake date so that Galvin can get bitches again, and so that Jessica doesn't look like she don't know what she's doing because she is not in a relationship. Talk about the relationship to men. It was very cute. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very smart, very well written. So am I gushing over it? No. But would I say you should read it? Yeah. Give it a read. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't one of those that I was just like super over the moon about. Now, the next book I was super over the moon by, and that is The Secret Service of Tea and Treason. Now, I picked this up because Talia Hibbert a while ago was like, stop everything, you need to read this book. And when Miss Mama's Talia Hibbert tells you to read a book, you read a book. And so it's been on my list, so I got it from the library. It's a library copy, and I read it in hard copy and on my Kindle because I have a digital copy and I took my Kindle home, so I read it while I was visiting my mom. And I enjoyed this so much. Now, one, this is the third book in the series, so if you are not chaotic like me, you should go read the first 2 books first. But they are, I believe, standalones because I read it and I was not confused or felt like anything was spoiled by me not having read the first 2 books. Now, so I love this because it's about not even secret services, like spy and assassin, rivals to lovers. They are both the best in the business. They're the top 2, and so, but they both are coded as being neurodivergent, right? So Alice is autistic, very likely on autism spectrum, maybe a little OCD. Daniel is definitely OCD, and watching them together and sort of the banter, the way it's written, it is hysterical. It's just like shenanigans ensue, and like the way India Holton like writes prose, it's so enjoyable. And like the way she renders the attraction between Alice and Daniel, I would read this again immediately. I enjoyed it so much. Next, we have, this is one of my authors that is an immediate buy. I don't care what she writes. I'm reading it. I'm probably going to purchase it. And that's Rebekah Weatherspoon. And she wrote Meegan, which is a holiday for hire book, but it's in this universe that she's created. This is the 3rd book in the Loose Ends, I think it's the Loose Ends series, with Rafe and Zinni. And so, but it also is connected to the Fit series. This was so cute. This was a reread for me. Like, Rebekah Weatherspoon, she don't miss. She's one of my comfort reads. I've read so many of her books. And so Meegan, she's dealing with like the disappointment of having loved and fallen for people and it not being reciprocated. And she's in part of a BDSM family, and like the feelings are sticky. And she becomes the girlfriend for hire for Olin. Olin is autistic, but a millionaire. And also kind of coded demisexual, like, or ace. And so he don't want to date nobody. Everybody's on his things because he's handsome and he's rich and like smart and all things. And so he's friends with Zenny. Zenny hooks him up with Meegan, and then they're just the way they are together. And he's like learning to do the dom thing and whether he could be a top for her. It's just, again, if he wanted to, he would. So yes, absolutely read the Loose End series, read Meegan, period poo. I also read the 7th installment of A Sign of Affection. Y'all know how I feel about A Sign of Affection. Just read it. I loved it. It's a great time. And number 4 for My Happy Marriage. Again, pick it up, read it. Fantastic. I loved it. I also went back and read another one of my comfort reads from years ago, and it's still been on my bookshelf, but I picked it up because when I was in Brazil, I picked up a copy in Portuguese for me to read, to, you know, practice my language or whatever, because the prose in this is so simple to understand. The writing was a little bit bigger, so it's not as long. And that is Sunday at Tiffany's by James Patterson with Gabrielle Charbonnet. And I love it. It's such a sweet book. It's about what happens if your imaginary friend comes back as an adult and then y'all fall in love. There you go. She's a good one. So definitely pick that up if you like, you know, kind of, it's very sweet, very soft. There's not like, there's some drama, but it's not too much drama. The characters are likable. It's all the things. I read about 5 audiobooks in the month of September. I read A Psalm for the Wildbilt, which is the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers, and it was lovely. It is a solar punk reimagines what happens to the, like, what is the world like if robots decide we don't want to do this no more, this is too much, and they go off into the woods, and then humans also like sort of revert back to these sort of collectivity societies, and they still use some of them still use technology, but it's like rendered differently and more communal living and all that. I loved it. It's so lovely. The narrator was fantastic. Such a good time. I also read The Cock Down the Block by Amy Award, which is the first book in the Cocky Kingman series, and it was hysterical. It was so funny and so sweet and so cute. This is a childhood friends to lovers, where the main character is a plus size librarian, and she's a plus size librarian specifically for teenagers, and so lovely. And she lives next door to her best friend, who is a professional football player. She knows his whole family. They're a family dynasty of football players, and so they've loved each other for a long time and didn't think each other felt the same. One, because she turned down the main character. The names are slipping my mind at the moment. And so he was like, I don't want to mess up our friendship, But then they start fake dating. And it's got some Mean Girls, like high school trauma, you know, bullying things, so beware of the trigger warnings. And there's also like a rooster. The female main character keeps chickens and has a rooster named Luke Skycocker. Don't ask me why I remember that. But it is so funny because, you know, you have this, and it's like chicken humor is sprinkled throughout, and the male main character calls the female main character Chickadee. It's super adorable. I enjoyed it. I am definitely going to read the next book. I'm waiting for it to come up on my Audible so I can do the thing. I also read, and I told you I was going to read this in my fall TBR, that I read the God and the Gumiho. Oh, so good. It was so good. Can't wait for the second book to become an audio book, because the author, or the narrator, was also fantastic. And so this one is about Sokka, who is a trickster god who gets thrown out of, you know, the godly realms because he tried to stage a coup from his brother, who's like the high god, and ends up on Earth, and he lets out all demons and they're wreaking havoc. And so he has to collect 20,000 demon souls, kill them, and put them back where they're supposed to go to be able to return to his status. So he is in the earthly plane, and he is antagonistic with a barista whose name is Hani, who's a nine-tailed fox spirit. But she's not just a nine-tailed fox. She's the nine-tailed fox. Like, she is the one who, she killed like, what, 1,000 men in the 1800s around the time of Jack the Ripper. Like, the streets know her name. And so it's them antagonizing each other. And Hani ends up working for Sokka. And I'm not going to tell you why, because you need to read it. You need to read it. And they, you know, fall in love. It was such a good time. It was lovely. I enjoyed it so much. Just run, don't walk. Read it. Listen to it. The last audiobook that I read, that I finished in September, was Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. Now, one thing about me, I really enjoy Deanna Gray. I read Sunny Disposition, and it was so sweet, so adorable. Chef's kiss. So I had been waiting to read Outdrawn, and so I listened to the audiobook, and it's sapphic rivals to lovers, workplace romance. They draw comics. They're comic artists. And so it was just very sweet. It was the relationships, how they sort of speak to each other, how they go from being rivals to lovers, and the fact that they always had these little bitty feelings for one another. It was just super cute. I did not like the narrators. It was narrated by two people, and I didn't like either of the narrators, so it was kind of hard for me to get through the audiobook, but the story itself and the writing, great. I definitely think you should read it. I read the second book in the Faeborn Bride series. The first book in the Faeborn Bride series is a Hades Persephone retelling, and it was really good. I'd been waiting for the second book. The second book is a Rapunzel retelling, where she is an assassin, an owned assassin at that. Siobhan becomes is the fated mate to Leonthor. Leonthor has been looking for Siobhan's ass because she was doing an assignment. He breaks in to where she had did the assignment. They fight. She beats his ass, and he can't forget her. And that's the type of time I be on. And so she ends up, he ends up paying for her freedom from working for her madam. And she's actually still on assignment. So it's about them, how they get together, how they figure this whole thing out with these other assassins. It's a lot, child. Read it. Just go to read it. Trust me on this one. I reread The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. Now, Kimberly Lemming is another one on my list. If she write, I'm gonna read it and buy it. Like, I'm going to buy it, own it, read it. You know what I'm saying? And so the Mead Mishap series is one of my comfort reads. I read those books a few times a year because I can get through them quickly. They're hysterical. It's just a good time. If you haven't heard of the Mead Mishap series, so they are considered cozy fantasy, but they're like smutty cozy fantasy. Very low stakes. The female main characters are all very sort of like sassy and smart, and at least the first two are plus size. And we got dragons and werewolves and piracy. Listen, maybe if you want me to do a full review on the Meat Mishap series, just let me know in the downstairs comment section, and I might do that for you because I love the series. I read the 4th book in The Harder They Fall by Julia Wolfe, and that is called Not So Truly Yours. This is Miles' book, and I adored it. I adore Miles, and he just won't be loved. He's like total golden retriever masquerading as an asshole, but he's perfect. Like, I want everything for him. So him and Daisy, perfect. She makes cupcakes and she works at a bar and she's doing her own thing, and his business is to help businesses get off the ground, and so they end up helping each other. He ends up working for her, and then they fall in love. It just so sweet. It was lovely. Read it. Yeah, definitely read it. The next book is the second book in the structural duet, so 2 books, called Structural Support. It's a MMF Why Choose. And so I liked it fine. Kind of meh about it. The first book was cool, and it's about this this woman who she inherits her dad's business. She's an engineer, and she ends up in a scandal, and that's some trash. But she has a one-night stand with this guy, and then he ends up becoming her head of HR, and also ends up going to his boyfriend, who's a masseuse, and ends up like getting a massage from him, and then they end up together. And then there's like a lot of things that ensue in life that are trying to convince them, or that shows them working together in relationship with one another to navigate life and being in relationship with one another. It's cute. Trigger warnings for infant loss, PTSD, and I think that's it. But if you read it, definitely check the trigger warnings. I was recommended by my friend Kia, who got recommended from me this author. She's another one that I'm gonna read and probably own everything she writes, and that's Shon. Baby, one thing about Shon, she be doing her thing. She put her foot in a story. So she did a Goldilocks and Three Bears retelling, where the Golden, who's the main character, breaks into the house of these 3 men who are in a strange sort of like mutual relationship with one another. She ends up breaking into their house because her phone's dead, and she's been hiking, and they live on the side, like out in the woods somewhere. And so she's like, I'm gonna just plug my phone up and charge it so I can get home, navigate myself back. Falls asleep. She eat their food and wakes up to them coming home. And then they decide, what if we just keep you? So yeah, pick it up immediately, read it, and enjoy. Now, the next series I found out about because I get emails from Fake Crate, because I've ordered special edition books from them, and there's a special edition set coming out for this series called the Bond Dissolution Omegaverse. And I'm like, oh, I was reading the tropes and everything. I was like, oh, that sounds cute. So I read the first 2 books, The Scent of Us Part 1 and Part 2, and then there's a third one that I'm gonna read this month. So lovely. I loved it. I love Omegaverse. I love reverse harem. That's my jam. And it was good. It wrapped up the loose ends very well. All the men were so lovely in their own way. And seeing Juno get not only her justice, but like her life and her sense of self through, you know, going through bond dissolution with her forced pack and then discovering her new pack and all of that. Yes, ate it up. Gonna eat up the third one. Probably gonna get this fancy set, because I just, you did your thing, Eliana Lee. I also read You Hide, I'll Seek by ML Bash, and I got this from Shelby and the book club, who I follow, and I took that recommendation from her. I read it, not for me personally, because there were parts of it that I was like, he did what? scandalized, clutching my pearls. And I was like, oh, baby, like that's a little unhinged. It was unhinged. So if you're into unhinged short, it's very spicy, very spicy. I would say read it for that. Me personally, I was like, oof, baby died. I also reread So Sweet, which is the part of the first book in the Sugar Baby novella series by Rebekah Weatherspoon. I already told y'all, when Rebekah Weatherspoon writes something, I'ma read it. I'ma own it. So I read the first book, Kayla and Michael, loved them. Kayla is like 24, 25. She's just lost her job, just bought a new car, and trying to look for work, and it's been taking a while. She ends up being prompted by her roommate who's been a sugar baby before and is like, I'm gonna just get back to it. I'm gonna just do it again because we need some money. You need to come as well. And Kayla's plus size, of course. So she's like, I don't know about all this. I'm not sure, friend. And so she ends up going to a sugar mixer for this app that she's joined. And she meets Michael, who's the CEO of the whole thing, and he's there because he's got to be there because he's CEO. And also, like, he propositions her. He's like, well, I mean, having sat here talk to you, I really like your energy, da, 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 da. Why don't you be my sugar baby and I can help you out, da, 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 da. And of course, it's lovely, and it's in the same universe. Like, the way Rebekah Weatherspoon has tied all of these series together in the same universe, and like the characters overlap, I just love it. I love it so much. And they inform the others in particular ways, so it's a great time. I also reread Saving Verakko from the Klakanian series. I told y'all I was gonna do that, and I appreciate Verakko so much. Like, he was one of the men folk that I got in the book boyfriend draft, and after reading this again, I was just like, yeah, that's fine. So Verakko is, I won't spoil it because like all of the books in the Klakanian series, they inform one another and they're not interconnected standalones. Like, they inform the plot. So just trust me on this. Lily and Verakko, very sweet. Just read the Klakanian series. Just pick it up. Okay, that's all I gotta say. And that was my September, friends. I read 16 books. It was good. I didn't even think I was gonna read that many books, but I did, and it was still a busy month. So hooray! As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend about the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.